The Dolphins drive back. They take the lead. You know what's going to happen. 2 minutes left in the game. And here's Matty Ice, who they could have drafted, 15 years ago? Instead, Bill Parcells, the tuna, who's helped start the trend towards the bottom of the ocean, my friends.
Yep.
It was the tuna. It's all on the tuna. Why don't we go back to the tuna? Bill Parcells, we thought he was going to be the savior. Teams that are bad are always looking for saviors, and they believe that whoever the incoming the guy is, whatever component that is, whether it's a coach, GM, owner, quarterback, a number one pick, free agent signing, they always think, wow, this is going to be the guy. And it never is. More often than not, it turns out that guy is indeed the Mike Tannum saboteur that buries your team. The Atlanta Falcons organization is always, it seems like, in some form of upheaval, is it not?
Oh, yeah.
So they come in here a disheveled mess, and here's Greer with what should be a very polished team 3 years after a tank job, loaded with all kinds of great new talent, and sparked by a fresh young quarterback who they had targeted all along to be the guy that was going to guide their fortunes. And I literally thought Deshaun Watson was going to start the fourth quarter. All right. Chris Greer's on the phone the entire first half. I don't care. Tell us the way to call me. Lubie, I will say this. Offensive line wasn't horrendous in this game. I thought they were given to ample time to throw the football. Am I wrong? They were able to run the ball.
They ran the ball well. They ran the ball well.
Yeah. So the offensive line was good. That's usually the first thing you point to when you're looking at a Dolphin loss. Tua wasn't half bad, although that one bozoic play.
That was bad.
They should have a separate category for that. Turnovers and then bozoic. And that's what that was, right? Where the guy just is getting annihilated as he throws the ball. And they really do. They invoke the, okay, it's my roll. Runners on second and third, man. On a beautiful Monday morning here in South Florida. Good morning, everybody. Great to be with you on On Channel, the Defo Show, usually featuring Mike Lubitz, but the guy who's labeled as Lubie looks nothing like Lubie at this point. That's the great Ricardo in for the vacationing Mike Lubitz. You have to love this guy's contract, Mike Lubitz. We start this job 2 weeks ago. We're 2 weeks and now one portion of 1 day into it, and he's already on a European vacation. That's the way to live, man. I mean, you only get one shot at this thing, so you may as well take it. But we welcome to the show, and we welcome you guys into the program. Had a beautiful weekend here in South Florida. I don't know if it's going to be as fortunate, the weather elsewhere around the country, and who knows what's going on around the world right now. It's hot! That's what they're saying at that conference, right? It's hot! The earth is melting. It is. But we couldn't have had it any better here in South Florida, and it looks like it's going to be more of the same today. And the gentleman working with us this week, and I believe into next week as well, because Lubie, there's going to be search warrants out for Lubie after he has destinations. He's going to Portugal, he's going to Saigon, he's going to Newark. Very interesting itinerary that he has planned for his vacation. But that is a great Ricardo Wanche, who is one of my favorites in terms. I try to trade Lubie straight up for Ricardo. There was a gentleman working at the radio station we were at called the Greek, did the shows in the afternoon while we were on in the morning. And the Greek linked up with Ricardo. He didn't get Ricardo at first, and the Greek's a little bit more finicky than I am about this sort of thing. I mean, I figure we're in this to get along. And eventually, no matter how rough it is in the beginning, no matter how many mistakes are made, no matter how many, we could look like the Dolphins on that play where they snapped the ball back and it hit the guy that was in motion. That's always good. Hey, did you work on that in practice, coach? And how do you feel about your job security? Always a great question after a loss. They ask the coach how he feels about his job security. What's the guy going to say? Well, you know what? They should have fired me last week, but I'm still collecting a paycheck here. What about you, Joe? How's it going at the paper? They're going out of business. Just fire back with some stuff. But Ricardo, tremendous musical taste. Number one, although we're somewhat limited in that aspect here, and we've been leaning almost exclusively on early recordings by the great Albert Castiglia that were made before there were any copyright infringement possibilities that could affect any of the songs that we're playing. So we have a couple of tunes there. And great sports knowledge also, although Ricardo, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for doing this. I see you're not expecting a child because that's been one of the things that we've heard most commonly about the shot of Lubie is that Why is there a crib in the background of his crib? There's a crib in a crib. It's a crib within a crib. But how are you, my friend? And thank you so much for doing this. How do you feel? Do you feel comfortable doing this thing? Because it's a whole new ball game with the video and the audio going at the same time.
It's a new journey, but Lubie trained me all right, so I think we're going to do pretty well. And I'm actually wearing my French national team soccer jersey today in honor of Lubie because he will be going on his European trip.
You cleaned up very well for this thing, and I see they gave you one of those cockamamie headsets that we bought at a Kmart when we were first putting out a thing called Defo Radio, which was ahead of its time many years ago. We lost all of our money, and there were some investors that you would have to say had acquired their assets in somewhat of an unconventional nature. So, when they sent the collection guys out to see what was going on with the business, it wasn't necessarily always the most pleasant of conversations. Like, hey, where's my money? It was pretty much the way it went, while the guy had a rather firm grip on your wrist with every intention of breaking your arm if you didn't come up with the dough. Hey, speaking of breaking a bank, I mean, imagine the guy, Ricardo, and everybody out there that had the guts to go into a sports book, which is all anybody is doing these days. The NFL is encouraging you. Roger Goodell is wearing a FanDuel logo on his NFL jacket now. And when guys get into the Hall of Fame, it's brought to you by DraftKings. They've actually changed the color of the jacket to match that of DraftKings. So it's all about gambling. But imagine a guy that went in New Jersey, some crazy nut, and he says to the guy behind the window, he says, I want the Jets on the money line. Jets getting 10.5 in their ballgame against the surging Cincinnati Bengals. And, that usually calls for a conference where, they either bring out a priest to read you your last rites if you're making a dumb bet like that. Or, you'll hear something along the lines of, as we always like to see, hey, Lou, you believe this guy wants the Jets on the money line? They start laughing hysterically. And sure enough, I mean, and I should have sent it in myself. I didn't do it. I'm a former Jet fan. I don't know that I root for anybody in particular anymore. I mean, in this business, you would think two things work in this business, Ricardo, and you know this. Your team either has to be great, and even that doesn't work out. Look at the Panthers. I mean, off to a great start. Florida Panthers on the ice. They're 8 games into the season. They won all 8, and the last one in overtime. I guess they finally lost one. Yeah, they finally lost one of the Boston Bruins, but that was in a shootout.
Yeah.
So they have, out of a possible 18 points, they have like 17, which is pretty good. I mean, unbelievable. But yet, even with that going on, we're ensconced in controversy immediately. We have the coach that happened to be at that meeting where this Kyle Beach guy had, brought up the, whole thing that, hey, listen, this coach just sexually assaulted me. And they're like, well, you know what? We got the Stanley Cup. What are you bothering us with that now for, huh, Kyle? That didn't go over big. 11 years later, I mean, skeletons in the closet. We talked about that last week. I hope you don't have too many, Ricardo, or the people out there, because right now with the cancel culture, they're more than capable of coming back to haunt you right to your grave. All of these things that you've done in the past that were indiscretions, weren't necessarily favorable, they will follow you right to your grave.
But this isn't really cancel culture. This is pending on legalities, right? I mean, there was
it's ugliness. That's ugliness. What happened there?
Right.
I'm not sure what level of responsibility Joel Quenneville bore for what happened there. I mean, he had the guy on his staff. I don't know. I mean, are you responsible for knowing every bizarre thing that, characteristic of people? I doubt they had any suspicions that this was going on. And the kid comes forward and says, your coach just sexually assaulted me. They just called him up to the club. And they had a meeting. I mean, that was the bad thing. They had a meeting about it, and they decided to do nothing about it. It's really like you're watching, some nutbag, wailing away on a cop, and you do nothing to intervene, even though the policeman's in a very compromised position. You should feel badly about that. Right. And in this case, if you're the National Hockey League and you're representing a very public organization that's more than happy to take public funding for buildings and things like that to support billionaires,
right, then,
it doesn't look good. It's not a good look. The guy, unfortunately, had to go. But it's not the same as a guy like me says something like this Doug Adler guy did on ESPN. And he says, well, Venus Williams, she's charging an end on every play. She's using guerrilla tactics, and somehow they make the equation and the association that you were calling and implying that Venus Williams, because she is a black woman, looks like a gorilla. That's a little ugly, right? I mean, it's really stretching it, and certainly this guy got the short end of the stick there because it was a rush to judgment. But probably, I don't know. I guess he's worked again, but all of a sudden he went from being the number one guy on ESPN, or high up in the hierarchy of ESPN's tennis coverage and tennis channel as well, to I believe he is now at an In-N-Out Burger outside of San Jose going, "Would you like that supersized, ma'am?"
Yeah.
So cancellation, I mean, just not a good thing. But you could have been canceled. Yeah, go ahead, Ricardo.
No, I agree with you. And especially, on things like that, that's a stretch.
Yes, I mean, everything you say can't be scrutinized, right?
And also, it's a live broadcast. Things are going really, really quickly. So, especially during a tennis match, things are real quick in a tennis match. So I can understand a blunder like that. And I don't even think it's a blunder that's fireable. Maybe trying to make an example out of certain people. And all this infraction can mean
it's only certain people, though.
And just showing.
Yeah.
It is.
If Al Michaels says that, they don't make any big deal of it. But, some schmank that they decided to crucify, it's just ugly. I was actually on a boxing broadcast one time, went on live TV. The color man that I was working with was a guy I'd never met before, and he was supposed to be very knowledgeable about the game. And I guess I did meet him before the broadcast because we had tanked down a couple of drinks outside saying, "How the hell are we going to do this?" And he identified a black fighter as, and he used not the N-word, but he said, Jones, the Negro. And that was it, man. They came out of the truck. They came flying out of the truck there, and rightfully so. Because it seemed very inappropriate. And it stunned me. Now you're trying to cover up for the guy. Oh, yeah, he's got a pretty good nifty jab there. I think that's what you meant to say. Right. And they came out, the director came out with piano wire and strangled the guy from behind. That was it. Right on the set.
It's not just fans, though. It's the advertisers as well who get really cold feet when you start saying things like that, and if you allow that stuff to go on, because the advertisers will feel it from their customers and stuff like that. It's much less the people who are watching, much more the advertisers, and maybe they're going to pull their money because they didn't like something that was said. It's going to affect their money on the brand.
Impact, yes, that's where it starts to really take effect. Look, Donald Sterling was fine until they started covering up the signs there at the Staples Center that had like FedEx and Hyundai and or whatever, Kia, I guess, is an NBA sponsor. Once they put the tarps over the signs, they didn't care if they tarped the seats because nobody was coming to their games, the Clippers. Stunk forever. And then they finally got good, and then this guy has to open up a big mouth, and V. Stiviano's got her cell phone out there, the worst rat in the world, and says, I didn't know, Donald. I was recording this. Just happened to get released to TMZ. And that was it. But when they started dropping the drop cloths over the signs, the advertising signs, that's when Adam Silver said, this can't be tolerated. We're going to have to get rid of this guy who for 30 years we knew was a racist. But we're getting away from the National Football League, which was, how Michigan does a guy have to be to walk in and bet the Jets on the money line? And I just sent my friend a text, giant Jet fan, Jersey Kyle Martinez, who, of course, joins us on our Degenerate Friday shows, saying that the Jets blow. And I thought that he was going to use that as a trigger to go ahead and not only take the 10.5 points in their game against the Cincinnati Bengals, had become the Cinderella team of the National Football League with Joe Burrow, who, if his hair was a little darker, Ricardo, would you not say that Joe Burrow looks very much like Andy Dufresne, Timothy Robbins in the Shawshank Redemption movie? Does he not have a little bit of an Andy Dufresne look at those post-game press conferences? Like, I thought the guys needed a beer. You could see him saying that as
tall
they
drink
were
of water.
putting the tire on the roof. Yeah, he has a little bit of facial resemblance. I don't know if he's a dead ringer. It's not like Teddy Bruschi and Dean Cain, where you just look at the two guys and you can't tell them apart. But he definitely has a little bit of an Andy Dufresne look to him, which I'll have to give Bruschi credit also in his pregame analysis. Usually it's 3 hours of endless babbling about nothing, and then the guys are dead wrong about everything they say. But Bruschi did say about Carson Wentz, and you will rarely see any former player being critical of a current player to the tune of saying that, listen, somewhere along the way, Carson Wentz, and we all knew it, is going to make a clown play. And sure enough, he did in the Colts game against and they were playing the Colts in Tennessee. Was that it? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
And Wentz, throws a left-handed pass from inside his own end zone while being, he's about to be flattened. It looked like they just took a snowplow and were rolling over this guy. And he throws a pop-up. It would have been infield fly rule, and throws it in the vicinity where there are only 4 defenders, and that's it. Not a single guy wearing a uniform that was even remotely resembling the color of the Colts uniforms in that game. And he throws it up in the air for grabs. It goes back for a pick six, and they end up losing the game in overtime. Although he did rally them back to tying position before losing the game in OT. But it was great by Brewski. He actually nailed it. He said, watch for this. Somewhere along the line, Carson Wentz is going to be guilty of making a clown play. And sure enough, that's what he did. But this was a great story with this Mike White, who nobody ever heard of.
Yeah.
The Jets have been looking for a savior longer than the Miami Dolphins have at quarterback. I mean, they go all the way back to Joe Willie. I guess they've had a couple of guys in between that were okay, nothing great. Had Vinny there for a little while. They made the mistake of taking who was the guy out of Cal that they took that was in that big shootout with Dan Marino.
USC. That was
Yeah, he was a Cal Berkeley guy, or no, a guy Cal some bizarre school in California he went to, and they took him in the draft over Dan Marino. We thank him for that, because if we didn't have Marino, we would have had nothing here in South Florida for like the last 50 years. You look to be frozen in time there, Ricardo. Are you all right?
I think we're
your
back
thing
on.
Is like, your thing is freaking out there a little bit, as you seem to be freezing. But and that's what the Dolphins did yesterday. And we'll talk to John Congemi later on in the program. Dateline Dolphins, which, wow. I mean, imagine that. What a mistake. You talk about a programming error. We love Congemi, and what's great about him, we named the show or the segment Dateline Dolphins because we thought we were going to concentrate on a great Dolphin season this year. But we may have to just change the direction of that because I don't know that you need to dedicate more than 30 seconds to talking about Miami Dolphins football on these kind of programs, even if you're originating like we are for you people around the country and around the world from South Florida, where this would be the big focal point on a Monday, and now nobody cares. Nobody gives a flying one. 1-7 now in the third year of a total rebuild. So it's almost like trying to get a permit in South Florida to do any kind of construction, which I guess is typical, where 3 years into the project, the materials are still sitting in the driveway with a sign, and instead of the permit hanging there, it's just like a skull and crossbones. And this rebuilding process has been ugly, to say the least. So sitting there at 1-7, the only rise for hope is that the Houston Texans are on the horizon. And the big story of last week, of course, was much ado about nothing, as everybody had pegged that Deshaun Watson would be the Dolphins quarterback after the trade deadline, which is either tomorrow or Wednesday, November 2nd or 3rd. And that's not happening. Now, all reports are that that deal is off, that the Dolphins got cold feet because they realized that this guy was going to have more subpoenas being served to him than he was going to serve up touchdown passes. He's got like 22 stacked up. I mean, like orders at a popular diner, right? Hey, here's another one. Hey, Rusty, we got another one. Very, very difficult legal waters to navigate your way through if you're the Miami Dolphins. You're looking for a quarterback and you're going to trade Tua, who yesterday, I don't know, did he do anything? I watched some of the highlights. I couldn't bring myself to watch the game 3-3 at halftime. Too beautiful of a day to dedicate to being in front of a television set. And once I saw the final result, it almost wasn't worth watching the highlights. But we'll get into that a bit later on with John Congemi. And, of course, he'll take a look around college football and around the National Football League with us as well. That's coming up in the 8 o'clock hour of the show. World Series was interesting last night. The Bravos. A lot of people hate the Braves and also hate the Astros. This is a World Series of hate. People don't like the Astros because they cheated their way to the 2017 title. That's been verified. That's not speculation on our part. And, and I like it, because being a music fan and naturally having played the drums early in my life, I'm a big fan of the fact that they relayed the signals and the signs and what pitches were being served up by banging on drums. Garbage cans in this case. with Carlos Beltran. People resent them for that. They still have a dynamite team, that same core of guys that, well, I mean, I guess they have like 4 guys that have been permanent fixtures there since 2017, and they're all still a critical, integral part of any success that Houston has. Look to be dead in the water. Adam Duvall, the former Marlin, who was with the Marlins for a cup of coffee this year, and was hitting below the Mendoza line, although he did crank a share of home runs. Ended up leading the league in RBIs, Ricardo. Were you aware of that? He had 113 RBIs in a regular season, but still bothers me. I mean, it's not like I'm Bill James, but it still troubles me when a guy's hitting like 210 and they're raving about the season he's having. Oh, man, this guy's having a monster year. And you look, he's striking out like 300 times. So it's all or nothing for the most part with Adam Duvall, but he's gotten hot in the postseason. Hits a grand slam for the Braves in the first inning. Looks like this thing is under wraps. They haven't won the championship since 1995. The Marlins actually have 2 championships since the last time the Braves, a respected organization, which the Braves have some kind of arrangement with the local politicians in Atlanta. What kind of cracker mentality is going on there? They get a new stadium every year, right? I mean, they've had like 3 stadiums since Turner Field.
Well, yeah,
which, was supposed to be dynamite.
When they moved to Truist Park, apparently they didn't even have a vote with the city of Atlanta to find out, if they wanted to keep it or whatever. They just kind of moved the stadium outside the because it's Cobb County Braves now. It's not really the Atlanta Braves anymore.
Everywhere you go, there's a Braves stadium, a former Braves stadium, empty. And I don't know. They're having like flea markets there. Monster truck jams, whatever they can think of to occupy some of the dates on the calendar there for what otherwise is just a complete sieve of cash for the city. And yet, you know what? A good organization. They haven't won the title since 95. 99 was their last trip to the World Series. And they're in it now. They're up 3-1. The probability of winning the series while up 3-1 is in the neighborhood of 85% of the time it's happened. That the team that was up 3-1 went on to win the World Series. And now it's 3-2 going back to Houston. After the Astros peeled themselves off the mat in that game last night. It's kind of getting the short drift, this World Series, to NFL action. But nonetheless, very compelling stuff going on in the World Series. And I don't know, when do they run out of relievers? How many guys do they have in the bullpen for these 2 teams? They're pitching like 16 guys a ball game. Each guy comes in, gets like 1 out, hands the ball halfway, to the manager, either Dusty Baker or the Snicker guy who Snicker, doesn't he look like the cop that was on the take that was hanging out with the mob guy and was protecting the mob's interest over the public's in some mafioso movie? Like, he's the guy that's hanging around with the criminal who says, you better do what Joe says. He's sending the guy the message as the evil cop. Snicker has that kind of a look. But nonetheless, good stuff last night. The Astros rallied. They win at 9-5. Over the Atlanta Braves, down 4-0 in the first inning, down 5-4 later on when Freddie Freeman hit a home run to give the Braves the lead again once the game was tied up. And so it goes back to Houston right now. I'll tell you who's happy about that. There's a guy named Mattress Mac. Are you familiar with this guy, Ricardo?
Yes,
Mattress Mac.
I am. Yeah, Greek.
He's been in the news.
Big fan.
Yeah. He bets like $20 million on any Houston team that's doing anything of any significance, including the Astros. Guy's filthy rich, happens to be a great guy, and making this off of mattresses. He's got mattresses stuffed with money himself, but not afraid to get up there and ante up big cash at any time. And so you can imagine. I don't know that he worries too much if he loses, because he's done it and he gets so much publicity off it. And the guy owns racehorses and is very influential in the thoroughbred racing game because he had a horse called Run Happy. And you would think that Run Happy was Secretariat because he sponsors virtually everything that's going on in thoroughbred racing. Like a jockey has Run Happy on his ass. Yeah. I mean, while he gets up in the winner's circle, there it is. Run Happy. Who's like, a modestly priced stallion. Some of these stallion fees, stud fees can be like $100,000. Right. 40, 50, 25. Run Happy's like a $10,000 stud, which isn't terrible. It's not like, you're going to expect these horses to run at Belterra or Thistle Downs. But if they are, then you got stuck. And you ought to find somebody else to take you to DeSale. So full slate of action in the NFL. We'll get into that. Many things happened across the board in the National Football League yesterday. College football, the University of Miami, ever since we condemned them, they have done nothing but win and win in improbable spots. They beat North Carolina last week. They beat Pittsburgh. 9.5-point dogs beat them outright this week. So the Manny Diaz lynch mob has kind of calmed down. But in college football, there's always a new guy that is subjected to the lynch mob mentality, is there not? And right now, that's Jim Harbaugh once again, who was off the hook briefly. And they lose to Michigan State. The Wolverines lose to Michigan State. And all of a sudden, Jim Harbaugh is being crucified. The guy at TCU decided to step down. They were saying, hey, listen, can you just work to the end of the year and then, gracefully leave? And he said, you know what, bleep this. I'm out of here. And so he quit. So that job opens up. And Dan Mullen is now under scrutiny, University of Florida, after getting, I don't know if it's any disgrace to get annihilated. Putting 7 points up against Georgia is like putting up 70 on somebody else. So they lose that game, and Georgia, the number one team in the country, maintains the notion and continues to sustain the idea that they're going to be a very formidable out and very tough. You don't think so? You're not confident there? But no, you're an Alabama guy, are you not?
I mean, I went there, so yeah. But I think that at the end of the year, at the SEC Championship, when Alabama wins out and they put Georgia, we'll see who's the better team. But I mean, because Georgia does this every year.
Spoken like Nick Saban himself, man, as if the devil had all of a sudden taken over your soul. You need an exorcism from this Alabama thing, my friend.
It's not only just
I know you went there. Yeah.
It's Georgia, though. It's Georgia also, because since I've been a kid, I've been hearing that Georgia's going to go to the championship since the year 2000, and I'm still waiting on it. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, they've always had good teams. I was never a big fan of their offense, although they have had good quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford went there. Of course, he's lighting it up now for the Rams. You think McVay is happy? He traded Jared Goff and got Matthew Stafford with the Los Angeles Rams. What a difference
he's sleeping
at night. A decent quarterback can make. Yeah, and Goff is just having an horrendous time here. Dan Campbell, wow. I mean, we have to be concerned about what's going on with the Lions. They got cremated yesterday by the Eagles, 44-3. A lot of people were thinking they were going to win this game, get their first win of the season, because many were saying that they were the best, I guess, at the time, 0-6 team in football, if there is such a thing. And now, I mean, after getting annihilated this past week, over the weekend, you would imagine, and we've been concerned that there'll be an animal sacrifice held somehow to motivate the Lions to play better by this maniac, Dan Campbell, who's coaching a team. And he cannot be a happy man today after suffering that embarrassment yesterday. So many things happen around the NFL, also all around college football. This is kind of interesting. Knocking on the door now, Michigan State is knocking on the door. And I did not realize this. In the top 25, and the Canes may find their way back into it. Is that possible after knocking off Pittsburgh and North Carolina in succession? Although North Carolina loses every week. I don't know how they're so highly regarded. That they were beaten handily by Notre Dame. Notre Dame will somehow work its way into the Final Four, no matter where they're ranked the day before the decision is made. You know that they're going to get in there. I don't know that Cincinnati obviously is looking at getting jobbed here. And the University of Texas San Antonio is always of interest to me because Larry Coker, who was at one time the University of Miami head football coach and came within an eyelash within a bad referee's call. And people will debate this. Stop screaming. You Ohio State Buckeye fans, you got the game. You won the championship that year with Lance Krenzel as your quarterback. I mean, please. Craig Krenzel, yeah. I want to say Lance for some reason, but nonetheless, nondescript quarterback wins that. Good that you knew that, though, Ricardo. Lubie wouldn't have let me fly on that either, when I start juxtaposing names. But nonetheless, I mean, you got the championship, but stop complaining that that wasn't a bad call at the end of the game. And you didn't see what was going on before that. I did see what was going on, and it was equally atrocious. But, that was a game-deciding call right there at the end. So if you got, hosed earlier in the game by the officials, both teams probably did. You can't make a call like that, pass interference on a play like that at the end of the ball game. Right? They had, Paul D was running out on the field, the athletic director. It was the same thing happened to Bobby Bowden where they doused him with the Gatorade, and then they had to dry him off. All of a sudden, they had leaf blowers all over this guy trying to dry him off. No, the game's not over yet. And then you guys stole that. But Coker, were not for that, Larry Coker, who became the first head coach at the University of Texas San Antonio, had they not made that call, would have won back-to-back national championships with undefeated teams. And then his next job was like at DeVry University, which some online school that didn't even have a team. He was doing recruiting for them. But the University of Texas San Antonio, surprisingly, a guy named Jeff Traylor is going to be a hot commodity. He just signed an extension. Does that inhibit him or impede him in any way from taking another bigger job like the day after? No. Not if you're a college football coach. Those extensions mean nothing. Commitment means absolutely zero. But he has them in the top 20 or top 25. The University of Texas San Antonio, which I always thought was an online school. I really did. Do they even have any students there? I'm not sure that they do. Although among their illustrious alumni, and this is interesting because they should put out a missing persons report on this woman. And she walked away with a big pile of cash. I remember an ESPN performer named Michelle Beadle. Michelle Beadle, attractive blonde woman, mid-40s now, and she got into some kind of jackpot because she was saying something, another one of those cancel culture things where she was saying something that was not particularly flattering to the executives at ESPN, and the next thing you know, she was covering soccer in Istanbul. That was it. Hey, how's it going over there in Turkey, Michelle? Let's go to Michelle Beadle. So she took the money and ran, and that was it. But have you seen her surface anywhere else? I mean, usually somebody has like a big contract and they get paid off. Maybe they have to sit out a little bit of time, but she is yet to surface. I think got out of the business. No, Ricardo, you're seeing any Michelle Beadle sightings?
I have not.
She was on everything. Yeah, they loved her. I tell you what you're going to love, and that's Destination Sport Miami, and they are our title sponsor here on the show on Ion Channel, and we're happy to be with you on Ion Channel. Had a nice meeting with Jack Namer. We're going to try an experiment this week, but with the Trivia Challenge, which we tried an experiment with last week. So we're doing a lot of experimental stuff here, and hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it. It's going to come out great, but this is going to come out great too. Destination Sport Miami. The ultimate, Ricardo, you're going to love this in the Doral area there, so not that far from you, I don't believe. Although, you're schlepping over from Hialeah right now, if this happens. But wow, I mean, what a concept this is. The ultimate indoor sporting facility, multifaceted sports facility, and it's going to have like 2 full football fields indoors. I mean, we're talking about air-conditioned indoors. Don't have to worry about rain. Not lightning delay. No. Like a dozen tennis courts, basketball courts, full-length NBA basketball courts. They're going to have an e-game thing going where people can get into that, get very competitive about it. Virtually any sport, ice hockey, 2 full NHL rinks. Tremendous people running all of their programs. It's really worth looking into. Destination Sport Miami, under construction already. And this is really going to revolutionize the way athletes train, the way teams prepare. Teams from all over the world going to be coming here, make use of this facility. And, of course, for the people here in South Florida, it is just going to be one dynamite bonanza. Destination Sport Miami, check them out on their website, destinationsportmiami.com. It is really going to be great. Tremendous people involved, as I said, with all of their programs, including a guy who stands up very well on TV, Randy Moss, right? Randy Moss. That's one of the things now that I look forward to, actually, every week, that you've been Mossing, because you see these great catches that guys make in traffic, and it's O.J. McDuffie City. I mean, just absolutely fantastic, all of those plays. And you don't realize how many of those great catches are being made, because that's the way football is being played right now. You throw a ball to a guy who's covered by 3 guys, triple covered, and you hope he comes down with it. And if he doesn't, then you look for a flag. All right, we're looking for a flag here. We have John Kajemi going to join us at 8 o'clock. Didn't realize how quickly this is going by. Ricardo in for Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest here on Ion Channel and various other platforms as well. You can catch the show. All you have to do is punch it up on YouTube any time of day, the Defo Show. And, of course, Ion Channel streaming live, audio, and just glistening video here today. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Wow, Ricardo, 7:34 already. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Hey, it's Mike Mayo for Even Keel Fish Shack, corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard at Lauderdale by the Sea. It's my favorite place now for great seafood in a casual beachfront setting. They've got happy hour 4 to 7 Monday through Friday. They've got great dishes like grilled oysters and oysters on the half shell, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, octopus. They also have burgers and chicken for those who don't like the seafood. They're open 7 days a week for a lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack. Go say hi to Dave and Brad and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen, Deal Volkswagen.
Ric Flair, the world's heavyweight champion. I don't have to say a lot more about the way I feel about Ric Flair. No
Hey there,
respect,
it's Mike Mayo.
no honor.
Do you like steak?
There is no honor among thieves. He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family. Daddy.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
Well, once again, everybody, great to be with you here. The Defo Show featuring not only Mike Lubitz, the great Ricardo in for Mike Lubitz today. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. It was a great weekend and good to have you with us here on the program. John Conjemi going to join us and go Dateline Dolphins, although there wasn't much in the way of Dolphins activity to talk about over the weekend. They're now 1-7. And it is always great, too, as you look at those post-game press conferences when somebody pops up and asks the coach if he believes his job is in jeopardy. What do you expect the guy to say? What is the answer to that question? Oh, yeah, I feel the pressure every day here. This is a results business. No, of course he's going to bristle and fire back. Well, I don't worry about that. I tell you what, we got some film to look at here, and we got a few things that we have to correct, and we're going to go back to work here during practice this week and see if we can't make a few corrections, and we'll give it a go against Houston next week. Boy, that has to be a relief, seeing the Houston Texans on your schedule coming up next week when you've just lost 7 in a row. Pretty incredible. But John Conjemi will have all the details on that, college football, the rest of the week in the National Football League, what's ahead as well. Always great, longtime analyst on ESPN, 21 years with ESPN, although his father likes to stretch it to 25 because he was bitter that they let him go. And they did. They let John Kangemi go. I mean, well, we can say this because it's true, over diversity issues. He happened to be a white guy. And that's it. They said we need more Latin guys. We need more former players out there, to balance things out. So, John, nice job. Thank you very much. You're gone. Here's a here's a autographed picture of Chris Berman, and thank you very much for your service. But we're happy to have him on with us. He'll be coming your way at 8 o'clock. This was great, and I got a bunch of texts after this took place yesterday. And I was watching with great interest. I think there were many terrific storylines. Ricardo, if you're going to look at a marquee game, anything now with Tom Brady in it, especially after he helped that kid cure brain cancer. And the stories, literally, I mean, you can't help but well up a little bit. You don't have a sensitive bone in your body if you don't at least start to tear up a little bit when you see the story about that kid that beat brain cancer that Brady gave the hat to last week. You had to have caught some of that, Ricardo, even if, you were studying the music of Mozart all during a week at some cultural place. But you couldn't have missed this, right? Did you catch this whole thing with Brady and the kid with the hat? Oh, we lost you there.
Even
Ricardo.
somebody, my bad, I had myself muted. Even somebody like me who's not the biggest Tom Brady fan, you can't help but, really like the guy for what he did,
Exactly.
And it's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Yeah. You're kind of coming in a little bit choppy there, Ricardo. I'm sorry to be stepping all over you, but
that's okay.
Yeah, and he's 44 years old, and they can't emphasize that enough now. At first, people were a little bit appalled by the idea that every other word out of an announcer's mouth was, "Can you believe this guy is 44 years old?" Hey, I can't believe it, Joe. He's 44 years old. And he doesn't look the part at all. I mean, Giselle looks like an old bag compared to this guy, if you were just talking about their gradual physical development here. And, he looks like he's in high school, doesn't he? I don't know what he's doing. I mean, he has to have consulted to everybody that ever injected anything into anyone or anything, right?
He looks
Victor
better now
Conte.
than when he got drafted.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Galia's got to be involved. Victor Conte, that crazy guy with the cantaloupes, Dr. Savant, that you see on those Cindy Crawford commercials. Yes, we take the extract of this melon and it makes you look much younger. Okay, that's not a French accent, is it? No, not even close. But you get the idea, and he's been Tom Terrific. He really has. He stole the thing from my man, Tom Seaver, who will always be Tom Terrific in my book. But you could put whatever superlatives you want and associate it with Brady, and you would have to say more than deserved at this point. I thought he was a shot fighter 5 years ago. I really did. And he was starting to, and this is usually the indicator that a guy's career is about to come to an end, when a great player starts making clown plays. That's when you know. I mean,
Right.
The writing is on the wall there. It's like, holy Tim Tebow, this guy can't play in the pros anymore. Now, Brady had a brilliant career. You could easily make the case he was the greatest of all time. If you're going to use championships, which I think is a bit unfair as a measuring stick, I think in Brady's case that he won 6 with the Patriots and then another one with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Although, wow, do they have a dynamite lineup? How are they conforming to the salary cap, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And then the other thing that's really curious, I mean, does Bruce Arians not look like he's wearing like a suicide bomber package when he's got that? What is he connected to there? You would expect a contraption like that to be on Andy Reid to keep his heart pumping with blood as Patrick Mahomes throws another pick. But have you seen that thing, that contraption on Arians? You can't miss it.
Yeah.
What is that? I mean, he's the only guy with anything that looks even remotely like that in terms of, the headset and trying to communicate electronically with people. Yeah. But it looks like he's going to. Yeah. Doesn't it look like he's going to roll into an airport in Ethiopia somewhere and just say, everybody must die? Crazy. So I'm watching this, and great storylines, because I think Jameis Winston is a very interesting storyline. That is emerging, or was emerging, with the New Orleans Saints, but appears that he might be out for the season. In fact, I thought I read that he is going to be out for the season. They were going to do an MRI on his knee and get the results today, but it's so unfavorable, the proposition that he's facing right now with his knee injury that he sustained yesterday while moving out of the pocket on a scramble, and he got crushed like a grape. Knee kind of got contorted awkwardly, as you see sometimes with offensive linemen who end up laying on the field and then getting carted off. And while he did get helped off the field, he did not return. And it looks like, and that's kind of sad, right? He had a chance to distinguish himself this year after being the subject of tremendous ridicule as a quarterback who threw for 5,000 yards in a season with Tampa Bay, threw 33 touchdown passes in a year, and threw 30 picks, 7 of which went back. And maybe that's why Arians is wearing some kind of self-destructive device, because he still thinks Jameis Winston is throwing the football for him, and he wants to blow himself up the next time he sees a guy pick one off at the 40-yard line and take it back for a score. So he's in there battling, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty good game. And now he goes down, and Sean Payton, wow. I mean, could he throw any Pop Warner quarterback out there on the field and somehow get some mileage out of the guy? Is that the MO on Sean Payton, the New Orleans coach? Because guys really prosper. Taysom Hill, who they gave a lot of money to, was unavailable to play, so they have to drop down to Trevor Siemian.
Yeah,
Who was quarterbacking for him yesterday, the majority of the ball game, and they get just enough out of Siemian to be in the lead late in the game. Brady brings his team back. A series of mistakes. They started to gather all the momentum. Tampa Bay started to show their wherewithal. Brady starts firing the rock. All of those wide receivers. Man, how many all-star wide receivers does Tom Brady have on that lineup and in that lineup? And he's taking advantage of all of that. New Orleans is running out of gas. Tampa Bay takes the lead, but New Orleans rallies back and takes the lead. And you're thinking, all right, Brady just needs a field goal, and they end up winning this game. And like the worst clock management I've ever seen in an NFL contest. That's a bit of a stretch, that statement. But I mean, how horrible is this? You have just under 2 minutes to go. They had the 2-minute warning, and you're inside the 10-yard line. You have a first and goal inside the 10 with 2 minutes to go. Now, what's your initial instinct? You're going to win the game with a field goal. So you would want to evaporate as much time off the clock as possible. And then if you had to settle for the field goal, you're still going to have a 2-point lead. Still slightly vulnerable, but far less vulnerable if Tampa Bay has no timeouts left, which they had one. And also, has about 46 seconds to go in the game by the time they get the ball back. And what does he do? He throws 2 bad pass plays and calls 2 bad pass plays, playing right into the hands of Tampa Bay. So they eventually got the ball back with their timeout intact and 1:46 to go. And you know what happens there. Come on. I mean, Tom Brady leads them down the field, and another walk-off celebration. Giselle comes out there, gives Arians a kiss, and says, please don't detonate that thing while we're in the stadium. And another bitter loss for the people. I mean, they're working voodoo on themselves on their way back to Bourbon Street. The New Orleans Saints fans who couldn't believe that they were stunned in this fashion by 2 bozoic calls by Sean Payton, who was supposed to be an offensive genius. And obviously, what's weird, too, I mean, a daredevil coach, right? Remember when he had the onside kick second half to open up a Super Bowl win? New Orleans Saints, not afraid to go out there and take a few chances. You like that in a coach. But these chances, I mean, you could say, well, geez, Def, you're always criticizing conservative coaching. The plays weren't really that well designed, and to end up with 2 incompletions in that spot was a disaster, playing right into the hands of Brady. But all of a sudden, Tom Brady, the great one, Tom Brady, looks no better than Bubby Brister and throws a pick 6 to seal the ball game. I was bombarded with texts. Did you see that? Did you see that? Yeah, he's losing it. Now, I'm not sure that's the case because Tampa Bay is still pretty formidable opposition to deal with, and they're in there at 6-2, which this would normally be the halfway point of the season, but the season is now going to go on forever. 17 games is a lot of games, isn't it? We were screaming for less preseason games and more action in the regular season, and now that we have it, I'm like, really? They're going to play like another game? You got to be kidding me. But normally you feel pretty good about yourself if you were 6-2. I'm sure the Tampa Bay Buccaneers aren't that worried. Last year is, and Gene Deckeroff loved this one. You know Gino Ricardo, the announcer for Florida State and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but more associated with Florida State because nobody knew the Buccaneers existed until Brady got there. And Gronk, although Gronk didn't play in that game. But nonetheless, he loved this one where they went Willie Mosconi. And after being, I think they were 7-5 last year through 12 games, and then they ran the table. They literally just ran every ball right off the table there without even thinking about it, behind the back, between the legs, cue stick in your nostrils. They were able to just knock every ball in 100 in a row, and they ended up winning the championship last year, thanks in part to Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers, who did their best to hand them on a silver platter. I mean, it literally was like the guy coming out of the kitchen with a tray full of little knishes. And you couldn't wait to just start picking them apart there, because they did put that on Tampa Bay's platter as if they were serving hors d'oeuvres at a wedding or a bar mitzvah. And, going for that field goal was about the dumbest thing. Imagine it. Aaron Rodgers never got over it, that they went for that field goal in that spot. He's like, you don't come to Las Vegas and talk to a man like Mo Green like that. You don't tell Aaron Rodgers you're going for a meaningless field goal that isn't going to really do you a whole hell of a lot of good unless you get the ball back and score a touchdown anyway, when he had a chance to throw one into the end zone and maybe give it one big shot. You don't want to take that away from the guy. He has rebounded very well, though, huh? Green Bay? Nobody really wants to play Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, who were able to win even without their number one receiver in the game last week, and still have been looking formidable and have rattled off 7 in a row. So another interesting week in the National Football League comes to a conclusion. We will explore it further with the great John Conchemi. College football does look like it's headed for a major hose job, does it not? How are they going to get Cincinnati out of that spot, Ricardo? Doesn't appear they're going to lose another game. They may have some narrow escapes. They've been bludgeoning people. They've been running up scores wherever they can. Sitting there in the polls at number 2. And so how do you keep them out of the Final Four if it comes down to that? Alabama's in. How are they going to get Notre Dame in there from number 8? That's going to be a piece of work for the committee. Well, we thought some things out, and if you really look at it, the strength of schedule here, if you divide that by 2 and then multiply it by what we call the standard multiplication table factor, then Notre Dame gets in there, and Cincinnati is no better than an 8th. Okay. There's always some Southern guy, too, that's running those kind of organizations. Is it not, like the college football playoff committee? It's always, here's, Joe Thatcher, and he hails from Alabama. And so it's a big surprise there where somehow they squeeze Alabama into the equation. We'll talk about all that with John Conchemi. I tell you what we love talking about, and had a nice discussion with our buddies over there at Ion Channel. Jack Namer running the show, the lovely Amy was on board, and we're going to try something big with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge this week. So look forward to that. That could be a little bit of a mess for you, Ricardo, although it's either going to be much easier for you or impossible what we're going to attempt to do. I'm looking into the little screen here to see Ricardo's reaction, and he's like, why did I say yes to this? Why? You were living a good life, kid, and now look what you've roped yourself into. So anyway, and Hialeah Park, it couldn't be any more beautiful, and we're going to try to bring that to you with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. And this is going to be a big week at Hialeah Park in the Champions Simulcasting Room. I did hear, and I think this is on good authority, although I'm not sure that any official declaration has been made, that sports gambling, Hialeah Park is going to be one of the places where you can do sports wagering. Wow. That's going to be a blast, and it's always a lot of fun when you have money on a game. It makes all the difference in the world. All the difference. You put a couple of bucks on a game, if you're talking about a baseball game, every pitch becomes of just absolute paramount importance. I mean, it couldn't be any more meaningful. Every foul ball, you're cringing. I mean, you're on the edge of your seat. And we saw what can happen with point spreads. Trying to, and look, you're still in the game, right? Your team might be down by 27, but they're still in the game in terms of the point spread if they're getting like 26. So, you're always in it. It's a lot of fun. They're going to have sports wagering available at Hialeah Park. So the announcement on that should be forthcoming. All kinds of great things going on there just in general. And this week is Breeders' Cup week. So we're going to have to book an extra guest for Friday and see if we get the lovely Kate and Bradar on. I don't think Lubie was aware of that before we took off. For parts unknown, but wow, Breeders' Cup, one of the big events in thoroughbred racing, kind of the World Series, World Championships of thoroughbred racing. I think they run 5 races, Breeders' Cup races on the Friday card, and then like 9 more on the Saturday card, 8 or 9 more. So great series of events. The best horses in the world come in there. All the top jockeys and trainers, and really just a glorious day. So if you want to bet the Saturday card, get your tickets online right now at hialeahpark.com. For the Champions Simulcasting Room will be the ultimate place to go ahead and plunge away on the Breeders' Cup and enjoy a spectacular day of racing. You saw the brass rail bar in the background when Paulie Man Gurgles and I were out there last Thursday. If you watched the video on Ion Channel, You can't get better accommodations or a better place to go if you're going to punch away on the races, short of just being at Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup. And you're going to get that feeling when you walk through the doors there at Hialeah Park, because they've done a tremendous job of fusing the old and the new. So you still have all the spectacular aspects of Hialeah Park's inherent beauty, and then you have the dazzling casino, the poker room, and, of course, as we mentioned, the best place to punch away on the Breeders' Cup here in town, and that would be the Champion Simulcasting Room at Hialeah Park. All right, we're coming back with more. John Congemi will break down, well, I don't know if it's fair to say he's going to break it down, but very thorough. And wow, we love Congemi. I mean, great analyst. He's going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour from 8 to 9. Dateline Dolphins, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in the Keys. I'm Jeff Deforrest. The great Ricardo is in for Mike Lubitz all this week. Did he tell you if he was coming back, Ricardo? What's the word on that? Is there an over-under on Lubie returning?
All I know is next Tuesday. That's all I know.
Okay. All right. You froze up on the screen again there, but you look good. It's a good portrait. We will be back with more on the Defo Show on ION Channel in a moment. Now that. It's 7:55.
Hey there, it's Mike Mayo. Do you like steaks? Do you like seafood? Do you like more at Tropical Acre Steakhouse and Butcher Shop? It's at 2500 Griffin Road in Dania, just west of 95. The Studiali family, they've been running the place a long time. It's been there more than 70 years. And it is now a place you can get early bird specials along with steaks to take home and throw on the grill yourself at the Butcher Shop. That's open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. It's open for dinner every night starting at 4:30, but they are closed on Sundays. Go to Tropical Acres. It's a place to go for great meal, great people, good value. Acres.
The championship meet is right around the corner at Gulfstream Park. The only place for live racing. Gulfstream's action has never been hotter. Whether it's on the track, in the casino, or part of the dining and entertainment offered at the Village of Gulfstream Park. Currently running Thursday through Sunday, Gulfstream's racing package is the best in the country, with all the top horses and people in the game pointing towards another tremendous winter season. Check out the remodeled first floor casino, open 7 days and nights a week, along with the many special events and concerts happening at Gulfstream Park. You can place your wagers from anywhere at firstbet.com. Check the calendar of events at gulfstreampark.com. Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way. Distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities, Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development, and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. The best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat, 24/7. Catholic Health Services.
Buy or lease a house and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at Deal Volkswagen or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. With John Congemi, and that's brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill in the Keys, and we're looking very much forward to doing some broadcasts there. I think we're going to head down there like once a month during the football season. I have to ask you this, and feel free. The great Lawrence Taylor with us here at 940 Wins, 1230 The Zone. Your relationship with Parcells.
We've always been friends from the first time I met him in the University of North Carolina. And Bill was a great guy because he would get on the bus. We'd get on the bus on Sunday. You know, getting ready to play, we get on the bus and he'll go. He looked down that row. He said, LT, you here? And I would say, yeah, coach, I'm here. He would say, okay, bus.
From South Florida to the entire world, here is Defo joined by Lubie on the Defo Show.
Wow, this is trouble. I knew this was going to be the case. Welcome back to the show. Jeff Deforrest in for Michael Lubitz, the great Ricardo, of course, worked with us for many years at 940. He's still working at 940, although there's not much to work on there. So he has time to be with us. And then we were worried about this, that this man would just blow us away in terms of his on-camera appearance, as we're joined here for Dateline Dolphins by the handsome one himself, Mr. John Congemi. John, you look great, kid. Ion Channel. I mean, there goes my spot with the network here.
Well, I appreciate it, Defo. Thanks for sending me all the makeup and the lighting and everything. It's turning out perfect.
You look good. You're the only guy with a real background there. You got some sporting pictures in the background there. I mean, I have like clothes hanging from my last time at the gym, which was 7 years ago, in the background. And Ricardo, I mean, he just threw this together this morning here, and he said, "What? We're on now? 7 o'clock? Are you kidding me?" Good to have you, my friend. Not much to talk about. We were mentioning this earlier. It's always weird when people at a press conference after a game start asking a question, and this guy's only in his third season, and I thought he had a pretty good credibility there, and a nice foundation that he built in terms of coaching. Although I didn't fully understand exactly what he was doing, but I thought Brian Flores, had a pretty good security as a head coach here. And now people are asking him post game, which he's lost 7 in a row. Hey, how do you feel about your job? Do you feel like you still have the ground underneath you there? And he's having to answer those questions, but.
Defo?
Here on the show. Go ahead, John. 1-7. What's going on here, John Congemi?
Well, it's the second time in 3 years that the Dolphins have had 7 losses in a row, and I do think that the expectations were so high this year that Dolphin fans and the media do have to question that that does come in the realm of possibility. It's not so much the losses, it's the way this team is losing. I know that they stepped up in weight class, if you want to call it, this week against the Buffalo Bills because, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Atlanta Falcons are, trolling like catfish, around us. We're at the bottom of the pond and we're trying to get upstream and there's no air, there's no oxygen, there's nothing, And right now, I think that is a valid question because when you take a look at the draft class, when you take a look at what was done free agency, especially, you brought in a veteran class 2 years ago to help teach this young team how to win, how to practice, how to play, how to be attentive on a Thursday during a walkthrough that might be meaningless to you, but as a pro, you take every advantage to get better. And now those people have been jettisoned away for either performance, contract, combination of all of the above. And you go out and get another class of free agency that really hasn't impacted the football team and a draft class that hasn't impacted a football team. So those questions are going to be asked.
Chris Greer was seen trying to get on any American Airlines flight that was going out of Miami yesterday. And you would think that whatever finger was being pointed would be in his direction. I mean, he's had all the assets that you could possibly have. You can't really complain about Stephen Ross, except that Stephen Ross must listen to the wrong guys. And I hate to say that because you'll see like Nat Moore and Marino around him. But I don't know. He had that Peterson guy in the beginning. He was giving him all kinds of bad information, or bad advice, even though he had been very successful in both the NFL and the USFL as an executive prior with good organizations. And yet things always seem to end up being just an absolute pratfall for Stephen Ross. Now he gets this whole new clean slate going. And unfortunately, even though he's willing to spend money and he's willing to let these guys do their own thing, it's not working. And you would think the one guy that appears to be a glaring problem at this point would be Chris Greer, who has had 3 years now to fill the cupboards with talent, all kinds of draft assets, and ability to sign free agents, and hasn't been able to put a team on the field that can win.
Well, you would think that, Defo. You would think the general manager would be responsible for all of those decisions. But, the Dolphins like to use a word called collaborative. And sometimes it's in your favor and sometimes it's not. And I think a lot of these football decisions have been collaborative. So it's just not one person. I think that, the head coach is involved in a lot of those things. I think, management is involved in a lot of those things. And they're trying to come to the realization of the best decision possible, trying to get the best players, the best coaches to put the best product on the field. That has not happened. That streamline what you thought would be successful to get everyone's input and then make a decision doesn't seem like it's worked, because at 1-7, when you're expected to be in double digits at the end of the year and challenging for a playoff spot and moving in those playoffs, that's not going to happen. So now you have to sit and wait for another 24 hours for the trade deadline to appear and then disappear, and see if the Dolphins have made any moves, incoming or outgoing. It's inbound or outbound right now. So I think the Dolphins have their feet in both of those piles, and they're going to try to see what happens and what shakes out here in the next 1.5 days.
The big story, of course, last week was that it was a done deal, a fait accompli, that Deshaun Watson was going to be the next Miami Dolphins quarterback, which still could turn out to be the case. I know they put Tua through an awful lot. You would have to think you were a quarterback. I mean, you couldn't possibly enjoy speculation. We're subject to it in this business where every day there's speculation. Oh, yeah, did you see who was in the building the other day? Yeah, that guy from QAM. You're like, what? But what are you talking about? And you start wondering about your own job security there. And we know how tenuous that can be in entertainment and especially in sports. But this can't have been an easy thing. Tua's handled it pretty well. Tua Tagovailoa has handled this whole business about Deshaun Watson pretty well. But, I mean, do you see them making that move? It looks like it's off in terms of happening like this week, as speculation was rampant that this was going to be actually accomplished and that Deshaun Watson would be on the Dolphins roster before we got to Wednesday's practice.
I thought last week it was going to happen. When you take a look at the way Tua has played, and I give Tua credit, let's start there. I give Tua a lot of credit the way he's handled his situation, because every day it seems like when it's his turn to talk to the media on Wednesdays or Thursdays, he's been asked this for the past month, and maybe even longer. And it's only ramped up, and he's handled it like a pro. And he is a first-class kid. He works hard. He wants to do well. He has played well in the games that he's gone start to finish. And I think that's only human to feel like a little bristled at this point, because you want to be able to be the guy. That's your team. You were drafted by the Miami Dolphins. You want to take ownership. Now, do they go ahead and get Deshaun Watson now? I don't know. It's a huge question mark, because you don't know the availability moving forward. No one really cares. You're 1-7. How are you gonna resurrect this football team by bringing Deshaun Watson? Because you're probably gonna have to jettison Xavier Howard and Devontae Parker at some point somewhere else to save revenue on contracts, and go ahead and try to go put your hand in the draft again in free agency next year to replace those guys. So you're going to get Deshaun Watson, and you're going to do what with him? With what's left of the football team? So he he had a remarkable season last year. And what did he get? 5 wins for the Houston Texans?
I think they won 4 games. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5 games. So what are you going to do with him on this ball club right now? I don't think it makes sense to go ahead and get him, especially with the uncertainty of going into next season with all the off-field issues.
Seems like we should be asking better questions about the Miami Dolphins. Like it should be more finite. Like what little fine tuning do they need to do to be a championship caliber team at this point, instead of looking at just what is an open wounded disaster here. I mean, they're have Houston up next, and you would imagine if they lose that ball game, then you might see. The hallways there at their training facility start to look like Don Carter lanes, right, with heads rolling right and left. But and I don't know what the answer is, and we never do in the media. I mean, in your opinion, John Conchemi, from here, what would be the solution for the Miami Dolphins? Because I don't think anybody anticipated that when they started trading guys, Minkah Fitzpatrick and Laramie Tunsil and anybody that had any NFL caliber ability and maybe even future star ability, when they were unloading all those guys for draft picks, I don't know that anybody could have justified that the team, without just a catastrophic series of injuries, that the team be this bad in the third year of this so-called rebuilding phase.
Defo, you need players to win in the National Football League, and I think coaching is secondary. You need playmakers. You need guys that know how to win. And I think it all starts with the draft and free agency. Can you acquire enough players that, secondly, you can coach and teach and scheme against other teams? The Dolphins right now have been depleted of playmakers. You thought that the wide receiver position, for example, was going to be a strength of this football team. I think you can look at the execution, you can look at the numbers, you can look at the availability or unavailability of the wide receiving core and say that has not turned out even close to being true. I think you have some stars on the football team. Can you build around those people? We've been talking about the offensive line for years now. It almost seems like since Jimmy Johnson and Don Shula have left. Can we get an offensive line that can be can you mirror people just to get in the way on a consistent basis? So it starts with players. I think that the Dolphins don't have enough players that can compete on a week in and week out basis to win consistently in the National Football League. And I think it's proven itself out, especially this year when you have injuries, when you have guys that don't exceed expectation or at least get to their level of ability that you felt like in the beginning of the season that you were going to be able to get out of that player. And then it comes down to the coaches. Do we have the right coaches at the right positions, pushing the right buttons? But I still think it starts with players. You need players to win in the National Football League. The Dolphins don't have enough to compete on a consistent basis.
John Conchemi with us, a longtime ESPN analyst, worked with the Finsiders broadcast. Nobody more inside in tune with what's going on with the Miami Dolphins and college and pro football that we know of than John Conchemi. And, of course, John's presence every week on the program brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And that is mile marker 104, Key Largo, the overseas highway. We'll tell you more about that. Man, that would have been some spot to hang out over the weekend. Even if you had to watch that dreadful Dolphin performance while wearing a Zach Thomas jersey. You could have at least considered walking straight into the bay there and would have done it under some wonderful circumstances. I don't know if you, I'm sure you attended a few of these in your lifetime. One of my favorite events on the Miami Dolphins social calendar was the kickoff breakfast that they had where they had season ticket holders come and Danny Boy would make a token appearance at one of the tables there, shake a few hands there. He owns Williams and Cadillac. Would you go over there and shake his hand, Danny? That kind of thing. And they had it for, guys that were longtime supporters of the Dolphins. And I always got a kick out of it. I used to do some radio shows before that got started. We'd have some great guests on and have a good time. And then I go inside, to cop the free breakfast. And you would see the highlight film, and even if the team was like 3-13 the year before, it looked great. It looked like they won the Super Bowl. Do you think they will use that play where Gesicki was hit with the snap while he was in motion? Will that make the highlight film for the Dolphins kickoff breakfast next year?
Absolutely not, Defo. I mean,
how short will this film be? I mean, the way it's going.
What a spot to be in too, because the Bills are the class of this division. Okay, And you have an opportunity that your defense is playing so well in the first 30 minutes of that game. You miss a chip shot field goal, you're going to go down and at least get 3 points. So you're going to take the lead going into halftime. And the script really flipped after that play. My recollection of it, because we were talking about it on the postgame show on the fifth quarter on CBS4.
That's right. Another one, your affiliations.
Another one. Yeah, I just figured
you look
I'd
great
throw
on
that
that too.
one in
You're
there.
carrying that show also.
Thank you. So Defo, what happens on the play is it looks like Brian Flores is going to go call timeout. He runs down to the official because he knows that the formation is not going the way it should be. So Mike Gesicki is kind of directing traffic along with Tua to get, I think it was Jalen Waddle in the right spot. They finally do that. But the linemen don't know the chaos that's going on behind them. All they know is the ball needs to be snapped because the guard is giving a signal to the center on when he needs the ball snapped coming from Tua. He's looking at the play clock and he sees 3-2, but he doesn't realize there's motion going on behind him. So the guard gives the hand signal to the center to snap the ball to Tua. The ball comes back a split second too early, and it hits Mike in the hip, and chaos ensues from there.
Clown plays. Were you ever involved? You had to have a few in
yes.
Your career as
I've
a
been
quarterback.
stepped on by linemen when trying to get out of center. Yes, there's been plenty of plays like that in everyone's career if you play long enough, and that one will make one of the comedy reels for sure.
All right, I had a friend, and he's a giant fan of the New York Jets. I guess that's a little confusing. He's a Jet fan, not a Giant fan, and he is always telling me, I think they're in there with a shot. So here they are, 10.5-point dogs to the Cincinnati Bengals, and they're going to play a backup quarterback to a guy who was staggering around like Chuck Wepner in the late rounds against Ali, and bleeding from every pore. And he thought, wow, if Zach Wilson can't do it for the New York Jets, the latest of a series of saviors, then how's this Mike White going to be able to do anything of any significance against the surging? Did you fall for this? Did you believe that holy Marvin Lewis, did you believe that the Cincinnati Bengals were suddenly, last week before the action that got underway this week, they were being talked about as a Super Bowl contending team out of the AFC. And they lose to the Jets straight up with a backup quarterback like that. This guy goes into the sports book in Atlantic City, and he takes the Jets on the money line. And they rarely are sympathetic in these situations. The bookmakers there that are taking the bets, but they actually called for an ambulance from Bellevue to take this guy straight to a mental ward. And then they win the game outright. I mean, that's one of the great things about the National Football League. And this kid couldn't have looked any better. And now they're talking about him maybe being the starter. And yet another in a series of saviors, Mike White.
It's incredible when guys get an opportunity just to play. Look at the quarterback in Dallas last night. It was kind of, you weren't sure if the Cowboys were going to be able to pull it out. He throws a touchdown pass late in the game. They win the game. Huge game in the standings for
that was ugly for me too. I had Minnesota.
I figured that's why I threw that one out there. But
how could they be underdogs at home? I mean, what was that all about against the backup QB?
But Mike White, a South Florida kid, a guy that attended South Florida. I covered him in college, watched him kind of in camps down here when I was helping out. Great guy. Happy for him because he took that opportunity in that spotlight and found a way to win a game and rallied his team. And now they believe they can win again, which I don't know if they will or not, but they believe they can. And that's sometimes half the battle in the National Football League, getting a guy at that position that guys can rally around and you feel like you've got a chance every time you step on the field if you just do your job. So, hats off to him. That was terrific to see Mike play as well as he did.
It was great, especially for my friend that not only was getting the 10.5.
How much did he win, Defo?
Well, on the money line, I mean, that's got to be at least has to be at least a 4-1 proposition when you're just playing it straight up, which only an insane person would even consider that for even the briefest of moments. And I always like they have all these new stats now. I don't know if the Elias Sports Bureau is just gone insane, but and the groupings of people that have accomplished like the same thing. In this case, Mike White throws for over 400 yards in his debut game as a starter, and he joins like Johnny Unitas and David Klingler in that category. I mean, it's always some oddball guy that also it's not those two, but He joined some very distinct and, in some cases, elite company in making that accomplishment. And you would have to think, if you were a Jet fan, hey, Zach, sayonara. I mean, Zach Wilson wasn't exactly lighting up, in that same situation.
He made the Jets look relevant, for at least a weekend or a Sunday, because they were a different football team. And you're right. I think the young guy that you'd get out of BYU is going to be the future of the team, you think. But for right now, Mike White's going to steer the ship, and he's going to be able to, take a team that's a 2-win team now, and hopefully get to 5 or 6 wins if they can. Because, at the beginning of the season, Dolphin fans were going, we got 2 wins against the Jets.
Yes.
We probably got 2 against New England if you can split with Buffalo. Now the Jets are going, well, maybe we can beat the Dolphins twice. Maybe we can get, somebody else on the run. And now you're at 5 or 6 wins, and where you didn't think you would be there maybe a month and a half ago.
John Kajemi with us, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, Key Largo. Great spot. We're hoping to get down there again. Jimmer looked really good on TV yesterday. He was still out in L.A. For that late thing. Although, I don't know. How do you feel about this? You've done a lot of TV where they have like 6 guys in suits standing up outside somewhere. Doesn't it look a little awkward for everybody? Should they not be sitting in chairs?
All I know is, Defo, I'm going to get a cane like Terry just for a weapon, just in case I get attacked on set. That's going to be my next move if I ever get to stand up, do a stand-up pregame show. Yeah,
you talk about the geezers at Caesars. I don't know what's afflicting Terry Bradshaw. He's been around forever. And you could certainly forgive him if he was starting to feel some pain that suddenly had popped up after all the hits he took as a quarterback, where, of course, he was great in winning 4 Super Bowls. Speaking of Super Bowls, the marquee game of the day, at least for me, was New Orleans-Tampa Bay. And I was talking about this earlier this morning, John, where, interesting storylines with Jameis Winston and this vital transformation that he's made from a personal standpoint. All of a sudden, he's seen the white light, and, he's gone in another direction. You won't see him shoplifting anymore, or, just expressing vulgarities one after another. And he seemed to be dialed into the whole Sean Payton, be a professional quarterback, Drew Brees type of discipline. And he was playing well enough for me to think that, wow, I mean, New Orleans could actually be a big factor. Their defense is great, and they were getting enough quarterback play out of Jameis Winston to make you feel like they really could make some noise and be very competitive with Tampa Bay. Brady was playing great up until like that final play where all of a sudden he looked like Bubby Brister on that last play, and he was getting annihilated. But great game, and another case where a disciplined backup comes in and does just enough to have New Orleans win that game. But I was horrified, John. I don't know if you caught the tail end of that game. Sean Payton, are you kidding me? All of a sudden, he turned into Kyle Shanahan.
The ball. What are you doing? I was doing the same thing, and it almost like he was trying to outsmart himself. You knew the right thing to do. But he just kind of rolled the dice and played right into the hands of Tom Brady. If any script was set up, Defo, for Tom Brady to come back with 1 timeout left and go down the field and get what you need to win the game.
Up 46 on the clock. I mean, all he needs is a field goal to win the game. How could this guy not even take a knee on the first 3 snaps there and, just leave like 37 seconds to go in a game and leave Tampa Bay without a timeout? And still leading the thing by 2 points, you would think if you're going to play percentages, that would work. And it wasn't like he dialed up any genius plays in that situation.
He throws the ball on first down, then he compounds his bad decision by throwing it on second down. So Bruce Arians on the other sideline has got to be licking his chops going, what is this guy doing? Does he have the money line? What's going on?
We're going to find out eventually that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, it was inexplicable how you could do that. You would show that to young coaches going, this is exactly what you do not want to do in this situation to give a future Hall of Fame quarterback an opportunity to go down and win a game. But it worked out for New Orleans. And you're right. Trevor Siemian played outstanding at the quarterback position for that game for New Orleans.
Aren't you worried that Arians is going to detonate that device that he's wearing? What is that thing? Have you seen anything like that
in there?
It's multicolored.
I think that's where he keeps his cash. I think it's got to be his cash, right?
I thought it was under his hat, man. That would be the perfect place
his
for
quick getaway cash is either it's got to be somewhere in there.
Looks like a suicide bomber. I mean, doesn't he? Like you're afraid he's going to run into an airport and get arrested if he has that thing on. All right, full slate of NFL games, so we'll talk some more about that with John and Jimmy. Take a look ahead to next week. I want to get into the college games with John and what transpired over the weekend, and we'll try to figure out here on Ion Channel, how is Cincinnati going to get squeezed out of the equation? That's going to be very interesting. And how is Notre Dame somehow going to work its way in, even if they lose 3 or 4 ball games the rest of the way? Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I was thinking about it. I'm going to start some new thing with Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, later on today on WWNN. Little Mike Mayo's lunchbox, all of his people from Let's Eat South Florida clamoring for him to have like a radio show right at the time where they're thinking about going out to get something to eat. And I keep telling them about the Italian Fisherman Pizza at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And as much of a pizza fan as Mayo is, I don't think he has fully grasped the concept of not only the brilliance, but how great this thing is and all the food there at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill.
Yeah, even though he's my brother, I have to toot his horn. My brother Dominic does a terrific job down there. Pizzas, anything you want, fresh fish. The food's outstanding, and we have to try to get back down there very soon. Now that we've
got cameras, yeah. I mean, come on.
Now that we have cameras, we could show off how beautiful that Bayside view is at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. They redid the sports bar for football season, college and pro. You have the tiki bar on the outside. You have accommodations, and they have another restaurant with obviously an old-fashioned pizza oven that you can kind of order whatever you can draw up in your mind. They have on the menu there for pizza, so it's a destination for any age group, any type of food that you would be craving. You could find it at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill.
I love what they did with the sports bar there. They renovated that. That's a great place to watch games. You never know if the Jimmer, I guess he's busy with the thing on Sundays there with Fox Sports. But nonetheless, during the week, anytime, you never know if he's going to show up there and just shoot the breeze, maybe catch the Monday night game. Great place to hang out on the Bayside at mile marker 104, Key Largo, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And those accommodations weren't too shabby.
No.
John and Jimmy.
You could get comfortable there for, I don't know, month and a half. That sounds about right.
You hooked us up pretty well. So looking forward to getting back down there before too much longer, and we'll be able to show you the brilliance of Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill in the Keys. More with John Congemi, longtime analyst on ESPN, Finsiders, currently rocketing on local TV with the Fins wrap-up. Although, are they playing funeral music? Who's sponsoring that now? One of the local funeral homes?
I know, no, Defo. I'm not going to get into that. I like my job too much.
Well said. Very diplomatically put. But and we'll talk some college football with John in just a moment. Now that here on Ion Channel, it's 8:27.
What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time? When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-8752. Would you go in court without an attorney? So why'd you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to Landlubbers Bar and Grill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours are to 10 and Saturday and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Hey, it's Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet here for my friends over at Shenanigans Sports Pub. It's a great way to take in a game, a good meal, and a couple of drinks. My friend Patrick, he's been doing it a long time, and he's got 2 locations. West side is right across from TY Park in Hollywood. And then the east side location is at 1300 South Federal Highway in Dania Beach. Shenanigans is the place for wings, burgers, barbecue, fresh fish, anything you want, drink specials, late night dining, outdoor dining. It is the place to go, family friendly. Go to Shenanigans and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
The big show, ladies and gentlemen, best use of the foreign object. It's my favorite piece of equipment, the foreign object. What was the best use of it you've ever seen, Big?
The best use, I have a couple all-time favorites. I used to love the Muda mist to the face, that green mist.
Oh, Kevin Sullivan?
Kevin Sullivan used it, but it started by the great Muda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Kevin Sullivan, yes, would use that because, Kevin Sullivan would steal anything from anyone. Yeah.
Once he went over to the dark side.
Well, yeah, once he was on the dark side,
were you ever tempted to go dark side?
Me, I've had more turns than NASCAR. Are you kidding me?
Have you ever at dinner started a conversation by saying, McMahon?
Oh my God!
Just out of habit.
Oh yeah. For a while, we'd say our prayer before we ate our food was, "Thank you, Lord Vince, for this beautiful bounty for which we're about to receive."
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show on Ion Channel here. Jeff Deforrest and in for Mike Lubitz, the great Ricardo Wanche. John Congemi's going Dateline Dolphins with us, although I don't know how much more time we can dedicate to the Miami Dolphins here on the show. Maybe, we should just all get down on our hands and knees and hope they win a game so we can kind of justify the title of the segment. But you're very diversified and well-versed in many different things, including college football, which you covered forever for ESPN. John Congemi, of course, played at the University of Pittsburgh and followed in the footsteps of the great one himself, the great Dan Marino, which could not have been easy. What were the expectations? Were there a couple of quarterbacks? There had to be a couple of guys in between you and Marino, no? Were you the immediate aftermath of Danny?
Oh,
Boy,
absolutely.
You're too young for that.
No.
Yeah?
Well, no, Dan was a senior when I was a freshman, and I was lucky enough that my dorm room wasn't ready when I got on campus, so I had to live with someone. And Dan was the person who showed up at the stadium to throw with me one day. Yeah. Coaches asked if, hey, do you mind taking this freshman from Fort Lauderdale to live with you for a couple of weeks? I stayed like 6 months. And it was Jimbo Covert, who was Dan's roommate at the time, and another friend, Paul Dunn, who's coaching at IMG Academy currently. He's coached in the pros. He's coached in college football for the last 25, 30 years. So those were my guys. Those are the guys that really brought me up and told me where to go, where not to go. But there was a number of quarterbacks that were with me and already on the roster. But it just so happened that it worked out. The first game the next year, another quarterback started the game. He was injured, and then I played the next 4 years after that.
Wow, you're stuck in there as a freshman with Dan Marino, and I was thrown in with a guy named Don Duberstein. Who
how'd that work out for you, Defo?
he was a rich kid. He had a girlfriend, so he was having a lot more fun than I was. So I set up my drums in the room on my half and drove him all the way to Penn State, I think.
There you go. So it worked out well.
Before we got through the first semester, he was gone. I had the room to myself. It was great. All right, a lot of things always interesting. The college football weekend. I guess let's start at the very top. Georgia Bulldogs, and people always say this, John Conjemi, hey, this is the best defense I think I've ever seen in the history of college football. Is that the case? Is the Georgia Bulldogs' current defense, I mean, I don't know that they've given up 14 points or double digits even. I guess, have they done that yet this season? Because nobody scores more than 3 points off these guys.
You know what, Defo, that defense is not only difficult to move the football against, but you see so many guys. It's just not one person, it's the entire unit, and they substitute, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 guys up front in that front seven. So it's just not, you can't say this one, you have to stop this one defensive end, or you have to be careful of the one cornerback jumping a route. It's 11 to 15 to 17 players on the defensive side of that football that do a terrific job. And Kirby Smart, you talk about needing players and getting the coaching to back that up. That's a perfect example of what I was trying to talk about at the pro level. You have players that are better than everybody else on defense, and then you have coaching that gets you over the top. And that's what Kirby Smart and that defense is. It's just a good marriage right now, and they have the confidence they can go out and shut out anybody.
It's funny, too, because there's always like a lynch mob forming for virtually anybody that coaches on the college level. It doesn't matter. We talked about that for years, jokingly, facetiously about Ed Ogeron, and then, of course, he does get dumped, going to finish out the season. We saw the guy at TCU. He goes down, and he says, I don't feel like finishing out the season. You can fire me right now. Where's my money? Right? He was
right.
Like he was in Goodfellas. Yeah, Jimmy, I want my money. Like he was Maury selling wigs. And so he goes, and now that job's open. There's all kinds of speculation. But soon as you lose a game, now Dan Mullen really had a great season, I thought, last year. I thought he got a lot of mileage out of that Florida Gator football team. You can't anticipate that they're going to knock off Georgia. And yet, they've had their share of good moments this year. But now sitting there at foe and foe, as Moses Malone would say, and I'm reading online, oh, okay, that's it. Mullen's got to go. I mean, it's a very, very short period of appreciation that people have for these college football coaches. I don't know. Is that guy, he can't possibly be in jeopardy. He's done a good job there with the Gators, no?
I wouldn't think so, Defo. There's no possible way. Coming into this season, I thought they overachieved last year. And I thought Florida did an excellent job of making themselves a team that you have to really worry about. They were going to be a tough out, no matter if you were a ranked team that was a 7-point underdog going against them, or it was a 50-50 game. Florida was going to find a way to win. Now, I think they got themselves in a little bit of trouble trying to force 2 quarterbacks into a situation where it's, you want to play the young guy because you want to show other recruits you're willing to play a guy that has the physical tools of Richardson. But you kind of went in, you're kind of stuck in the middle now when you let him get that opportunity against the toughest defense in the country. And yet, it was a little bit of a turnover machine, a little bit of, mistake prone first half, and you never really got going. And then he gets hurt. I don't know if it was a concussion or a shoulder or a neck injury, but you end up bringing the starter back in and he ends up playing fairly well. So I don't think Dan Mullen should be considered on that list. He's going to be because, people want to win now and they think that you should beat every time you line up, no matter who the opponent is. Florida should win, right? It doesn't work that way in the SEC, and it doesn't work that way around the country because we saw what Michigan State did to Michigan at home, and those very evenly matched teams. It seemed like Michigan State even though they were down 2 touchdowns, was the better team at the end.
John Kajemi with us here, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104 in the Keys. It's Dateline Dolphins, talking a little college football. And I've often asked this question on the shows I've done over the many years, John. You may have even had to try to answer this also. More corrupt organization, the NCAA, especially in matters where it comes to rankings and who's going to play for their championships, or the World Boxing Council, under the auspices and the leadership of the great Jose Suleiman. May he rest in peace. And I had a friend for a while back when there were only 2 alphabet soup organizations, and this guy was the real deal. He fought for the championship a few times and eventually won a world title in the World Boxing Council. And he was a number 1 contender for like a year and a half. And then all of a sudden, when a mandatory title fight was about to come up, he was dropped to number 2 for a guy that they had just buried, literally buried. I was at the funeral when they buried this guy, and he moved up to number 1. Okay, so how are they going to do this? With this isn't an NCAA thing, because for some bizarre reason, even though they were authoritative in terms of doling out punishment and things of that nature and discipline, they have no authority over what's going on in determining the championship, the NCAA. But how does Cincinnati get the squeeze, John Kajemi? What do you see happening here, and are they, in your opinion, deserving of being in the Final Four if indeed they win out against whatever cupcake schedule they have left on this season?
Well, I think they are. I've seen Cincinnati play over the last, 4 or 5 seasons, and they've been good. They haven't been this good, but they've been very good this year. But let them play, God forbid if they play a couple of 1-touchdown games over the next month against Tulane or SMU or whoever's left on their schedule. Watch how Oklahoma or Michigan State or Ohio State kind of creeps in a little bit closer and may overtake them in the end. Now, it's going to be difficult for an undefeated Cincinnati team not to be in that top 4. But if they do play close games and all of a sudden Ohio State at the end of the year, dominates Michigan, which they've dominated Michigan and Jim Harbaugh for the last 10, 12 years, it feels like, however long Jim has been there.
Another one that's on the hot seat, too. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, again, the lynch mob out for him.
If that happens, Ohio State's going to the top. Michigan State, if they keep winning. Alabama's going to be there. So you're going to have Georgia and Alabama probably, unless they get tripped up by Auburn in the Iron Bowl at the end of the year. They're going to be playing for the SEC championship. And does a 2-loss Alabama get in? Probably not. But you can't say no. You can't say 100% no. Just because of the name and the way they play and who they play. So it's going to be crazy. Do I think Cincinnati's going to make it in there? Yes, because I don't think they're going to get tripped up. I think they're too good a team. But if they play close games down the stretch and you have a couple of blowouts and you have a couple of upsets the other way with some blue blood diversity games, that might happen.
Georgia's a very prohibitive favorite to win the championship. I think you're getting less than 2-1 for them to win it all. Alabama is like a close second. Oklahoma, very prohibitive odds. And Cincinnati's like 100-1. Right. Would you take 100-1 on Cincinnati and figure if they got into the championship, and whether it was deservedly so or not, but if they got in there, would they have a chance to win 2 games against that caliber of opposition, or would that be all of a sudden a big eye-opener, blowout city in reverse?
First, I'd have to consult that Jets fan who placed that money line bet.
Can you imagine what kind of lunatic walks into a sports book with his own cash and says, Lou, Jets, money line? Right
now, I want it now. Give it to me now.
Yeah, he could have taken 10.5, and they would have thought he was Michigan. I mean, that's how crazy that bet was.
I don't think Defo that Cincinnati would be able to hang with Georgia. I don't think anybody right now can hang with Georgia. maybe Alabama. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll get to see that game. But can they win one? Yeah. I mean, it's college football. It's still 18-year-old to 22-year-old kids going out and playing, and mistakes happen, and all of a sudden you get on a little bit of a roll. You feel confident things can happen, but I would think 30% chance, 40% chance of winning one game. Yeah, maybe, but not 2.
All right, so forget that plunge on the money line there. Save my cash and try to fix up the new house. Because it's going to need virtually everything. You ever? I don't know. You've bought homes. You probably buying new ones, spiffy ones there, but. You buy somebody else's house and then you realize like everything is wrong. Whatever it was, they were covering up virtually everything, including you turn the lights on and the toilet flushes. You're like, well, why didn't I check this out? Boy, plunk down the cash. All right, you talked about Alabama, Michigan State, kind of interesting, and that was the other one, John Kajemi. I see Jim Harbaugh. Now, there's been speculation about where he stands with the Michigan Wolverines, and he's had some suspect moments. Obviously, he hasn't won anything big yet, and certainly hasn't won any championships there, but had them undefeated going to Michigan State. Did they not have Michigan State on the ropes in that game and then fell apart? Is that the way that thing went?
Yeah, I believe it was close to 2 touchdowns, if not 2 touchdowns down, was Michigan State, but they were able to come back at home and really they did it with the running game. And I can't remember. I was kind of flipping around and going around, but I believe it was a 5 rushing touchdown day for the same. It was the same running back that beat up Miami down here at Hard Rock Stadium. So it was one of those situations.
Oh, Walker the third, yeah.
Yes, he was a transfer from somewhere this year. Came in from Wake Forest, I believe. Comes in and does a terrific job.
Was that Herschel Walker the third?
It looked like it. No, it looked like it.
Looked like the second coming of Herschel.
Change of direction was phenomenal. He could stop and start again, and he doesn't lose that much speed, and he's gaining ground. And he was had a terrific afternoon. I know against Miami about a month ago down here, and against Michigan. He was running all over him. It was fun to watch. I watched the highlights and caught a little bit of the game live at the end, and he's the real deal.
All right, this guy's had a charcoal grill on his rear end the entire season, and seasons prior, Manny Diaz, speaking of the local team in town, and as he was being crucified, just absolutely annihilated, he comes back, ekes out a win over North Carolina, who everybody seems to be able to find a way to beat now, even though I think they were ranked 10th, were they not, going into the game against Notre Dame and incurred yet another loss. And so he beats them. I don't know how much of a distinction that is at this stage, but then turns right around and beats our friend Charlie Partridge and
the Pitt Panthers.
Were you okay with that, John Kajemi? I mean, 9.5-point favorite. Speaking of, you might have had a little taste on the money line in that game.
You know what? I didn't, but my friend at Grand
you didn't want to
Oaks,
lay 9.5. Yeah.
No, my friend at Grand Oaks, as I was finishing up my Saturday morning golf round, says, "Hey, how about $10? Come on, just $10." And I was
$10,
like, I don't know.
Straight up?
I don't know. I said, well, he wants the points. So I said, all right, go ahead, whatever. I said, let's just do it for fun. He says, all right, let's do it for fun. And I lost. So I'm glad I saved $10. So
how much money did you take off him in the Nassau that you were playing?
Well, I got 65 on the course. That was another story for another time. But
yeah, good stuff. So what do you see there?
You're right. Manny Diaz, it seemed like, for the last month and a half, and they find a way to kind of, win at home against NC State, which I thought NC State might have the upper hand there. Then they go on the road, and even though Kenny Pickett throws for 10,000 yards against the Hurricanes, the freshman Van Dyke did the same thing to the Pitt defense. Big plays, kind of explosive plays when they needed it early to take the lead, and then they kind of held on and found a way to win a game that they probably shouldn't have won, because I do think Pitt's a pretty good football team this year. But they hung a 40 spot on them and end up winning the game in a shootout, which was nice to see for Hurricane fans, I'm sure.
Was your demeanor as composed as it is now when you're talking about this?
I have a few broken things in the family room. The cushions don't look exactly the same.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The guy probably has a few broken ribs, that suggested that you go ahead and put the $10 down, if he was in any kind of proximity. But that was a surprise. It certainly was to a lot of people. And then, Manny Diaz is very much like, I guess you could say, the Miami mayor, Francis Suarez. A good-looking guy who talks a real good game, and you're wondering, does this guy really do anything? Does he have any impact over, what it is that he is trying to run? And then comes back with 2 big wins when it looked like he literally looked like you could have just rolled him out of there. And, that the people here are definitely ready for a new coach at the University of Miami. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk some more about the National Football League, what's on tap there, what's transpiring. John Congemi with us here. Of course, it's Dateline Dolphins on Ion Channel and the Defo Show. Ricardo's in for Mike Lubitz. Nice to see you on the tube here this week on Ion Channel. Things are continuing to grow there. And, and the other thing, and you sent me a note about this, and I'm glad that you're inclined to believe that what we really need, after all the things that have transpired, is another visit to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at Mile Mark.
Absolutely.
Keys. Yeah, I mean, I just sitting out there listening to the tunes. When your brother got up there and he was like Bono, and he started singing, songs there into the sunset, I thought, wow, this place has the greatest vibe of any place I've ever been to.
When he and Larry get up on stage, you're not sure what to think at first, but they get better. It's like wine. They get better with a little bit more time. And I think that they've got it down now. They play with any band that'll have them, it seems like, in the Keys at Jimmy Johnson's. And that's a fun weekend. You get outside, you go to the tiki bar, you kind of get a cocktail and just kind of hang out. And you see a lot of people actually from Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. They travel down to the Keys. They don't want to go all the way down to Key West. They find Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill on the Bayside, and they just kind of stop there and make it a day.
No, it's absolutely fantastic. And, a lot of times, too, when the owner gets up there, like Larry Calvano, and he wants to play the guitar with the band, you're in the band, you want to get paid. I don't know. If you got paid before the gig, you might suggest that, hey, listen, we got one more song, we're out of here. But they get up there, and they're great. Your brother and Larry just knocked it out of the park there. And, it's the kind of place that you want to spend your time. And it makes you feel like life is worth living to visit Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill in the Keys. All right, we'll come back, talk some more football with John Congemi, longtime analyst, ESPN, of course, with the Finsiders. And that had to be tough because you had to temper your comments a little bit. I mean, you couldn't just get on there and go, hey, you know what? We suck. Although you're always very straightforward and diplomatic about things like that. And that's why we love you, John Congemi. And, of course, now and knocking it out of the park on the local broadcast here on CBS 4, right? Are you with every channel? Right. Yeah. No, you're on more stuff than Rosenhaus, I think, now. Yeah.
No, Drew's got me beat by a little bit, I do believe. But, we'll do a pregame show, Dolphins Weekly Live at 11:30, and then we do the fifth quarter show postgame every game.
All right, so throw it down on the field, Kim Bocamper. Yeah, that's great. Kim, what do you got? It looks like we got some different cleats they're going to wear. No, it's always great, man. I love all that stuff. All right, we'll come back, wrap things up with John Congemi on this Monday edition of the Defo Show. Ricardo filling in for Mike Lubitz, the already vacationing Mike Lubitz on Ion Channel. We thank Jack and Amy and all the people there, Brad, for all the hard work they're doing, getting this thing going. And we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Thank you, Johnny. He's still with us, John. It's 8:52 Eastern.
Since day one of old school, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat 24/7. Catholic Health Services.
Destination Sport Miami to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come. The championship meet is right around the corner at Gulfstream Park. The only place for live racing, Gulfstream's action has never been hotter. Whether it's on the track, in the casino, or part of the dining and entertainment offered at the Village of Gulfstream Park. Currently running Thursday through Sunday, Gulfstream's racing package is the best in the country, with all the top horses and people in the game pointing towards another tremendous winter season. Check out the remodeled first floor casino, open 7 days and nights a week, along with the many special events and concerts happening at Gulfstream Park. You can place your wagers from anywhere at firstbet.com. Check the calendar of events at gulfstreampark.com.
Hey, it's Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet here for my friends over at Shenanigans Sports Pub. It's a great place to go to take in a game, a good meal, and a couple of drinks. My friend Patrick, he's been doing it a long time, and he's got 2 locations. West Side is right across from TY Park in Hollywood. And then the East Side location is at 1300 South Federal Highway in Dania Beach. Shenanigans is the place for wings, burgers, barbecue, fresh fish, anything you want, drink specials, late night dining, outdoor dining. It is the place to go, family friendly. Go to Shenanigans and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic 3601 Bird Road right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
I mean, if you look at our organization today, and you see what we've done, from every aspect except on the playing field, we're probably the first-class organization in the National Football League.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
Why does that always ring true? Except for the performance on the football field. That's unfortunate. Dolphin fans starving for any kind of semblance, signs of life, as they say in thoroughbred racing, when your horse runs last 3 races in a row and then finally beats a horse, and they put the comment, signs of life. We're looking for signs of life. May get that next week against Houston. John Congemi with us at Dateline Dolphins here on the Defo Show. Ricardo's in for Mike Lubitz, starting day 1 of what figures to be an odyssey of terror for the rest of the week. And we do have some big plans. We're really going to beef up our quiz show, John Congemi. I think you can appreciate this. We're going all in Fellini on this thing. And we're going to make it look like Wheel of Fortune this week, our Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. So looking very much forward to that. Was very surprised, and pleasantly so, that so many people found us. And we were working under some compromised situations, as always, where we had 1 phone line for a show that requires like 6. And we were able to make it work. So looking forward to Thursday. And you're looking great, kid, here on the screen. All right, I was looking ahead, John, to next week's schedule. They have a marquee game, although the Kansas City Chiefs have yet to play this week. They'll play tonight against the New York Giants. Now, are you more inclined to go to the regular conventional broadcast on ESPN with the announcing team of, Brian Greasy's on the thing, and this Louis Riddick is there? And, it's okay. But the Mannings have stolen the show. What's your feeling about that?
Tonight, I'm going to go to the Mannings. I've been kind of bouncing around, with the World Series and all that stuff that's been going on. I've kind of been bouncing around a little bit to both, but I think I'm going to stick wire to wire with the Mannings and see how much I enjoy that. I've heard nothing but great things. I know they had Tom Brady on, I believe it was last week. They had Marshawn on with, he was colorful. Let's put it that way, I've heard. Yeah. Yes. And so I'm going to do that tonight. I'm not sure who the guests are, but going to roll that from wire to wire tonight.
Yeah, Louis Riddick is getting a little too technical for me, and he schlubbers on. Brian Greasy might be the nicest guy in the world, but I'm not sure he's making any brilliant contribution. It's not like you're forgetting about Danny Don Meredith with his commentary. And Steve Levy's good, a very, very professional announcer. But, the Mannings have stolen a show there. All right, so what's happened, in your opinion, with your expertise, former quarterback there, following in the footsteps of Danny Boy at Pittsburgh, the immediate footsteps, John Congemi, played professionally. We're in a lot of NFL camps also. But what happened to Patrick Mahomes? Is it Mahomes or is it, an entire conundrum of things that are going wrong in Kansas City?
I think there's a lot more than just Patrick Mahomes, but when you look at his play, Defo, for me, it's all the breakdown of plays that he's been able to magically make disappear and turn into gold. When he runs around behind the line of scrimmage, he's extending plays, he's avoiding a near disaster. He finds Tyreek Hill 55 yards down the field, and it looks like that's the way they drew it up on the whiteboard. Okay. Yeah. Those types of plays are starting to come back to bite him now. they're coming back not only in turnovers, but they turned into a concussion last week. So those are the plays that you cannot script. You can't count on. Patrick Mahomes has been so good at counting on those plays and making disaster, near disaster, turn into 6, 12, 18, 24 points over a 5-minute stretch. And that's where the separation from the Kansas City Chiefs. And then they played good defense. They got, let's go get one on our side of the football. So that kind of inspires the rest of the team. When that goes down, when you flush that, sometimes you get that downward spiral and you don't get that momentum rush. You don't get that good feeling on defense, and bad things happen to you. And I think bad things are happening to the Kansas City Chiefs because you can't depend on that play 100%.
Right now is overrated in terms of where gamblers' interests lie. As overrated as Bryce Harper and the Stone Crab, maybe overpriced too. As I think they're like 1-15 in their last 16 or 17 against the spread with one push, and they're laying like 10 points tonight against the Giants, and then face the Green Bay Packers, the red hot 7 straight winning Green Bay Packers next week on the slate. John, it flies by as always. Thanks so much. Make some arrangements for us to get down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. That would be a very exciting show, and I'm sure Ricardo would enjoy filling in that week, as opposed to just being stuck in a room this week saying, "Lubie, you left me sabotaged as usual." Thanks.
We'll get Ricardo. We'll get Ricardo down there as well. We have to talk to the consigliere, Tom Fox, see if he can organize that, and we'll get that going.
If anybody can do it, it's Tommy Fox. John, you're a wonderful American, great American. Thanks so much for being with us. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in on this fine Monday. We'll do it again tomorrow at 7. Ricardo, great job filling in for Mike Lubitz, for John Conjemi, everybody connected with the program, Jack and Amy and Brad and all the crew down there, Miguel at Eye on Channel. Thanks so much for joining us here on the show. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
Thank you, Johnny. It's 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Gourmet for Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale. It's one of my favorite places. It is old school joint that's serving Spanish and classic continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly setting. It's at 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. They're open every day except Sunday for dinner, starting at 5. Joey and his better half Sally, they are the greatest in service. And the food, oh my gosh, it's shrimp with garlic sauce, stuffed veal chop. They serve this great, fantastic, warm sourdough bread. Go to Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale and tell them that the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told a great restaurant feel completely safe because their COVID is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time? When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not. Because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development, and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come.
Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat, 24